I agree.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit before we got here tonight.
And do my hair in the mirror.
And we decided that since we're going to be have a burgeoning superheroes game where people with abilities are a thing. They're a factual thing. People know about them, but most normal people aren't real sure how to feel about that yet, or what to do about that yet. So there's some conflict gonna be going on in there. But we decided that since most of the time superheroes games take place in the United States, we like to be different. We're going to be in the UK, which I was just very Australian for that. But,
Yeah, it was good. That's fine.
It's okay.
It's part of the Commonwealth. You're okay.
No one's ever been there. No one knows how it sounds.
It's all good.
It's fine.
We might need somebody from Australia anyway. So those of you who are listening live, this is our UK Supers game.
All right.
Okay. So some things that we talked about, and then I have some questions.
Other than crazy accents.
Other than crazy accents.
That's all we've talked about.
90%.
Yeah.
90% of what we talked about is crazy.
Okay, 90% of what we talked about is bitching about how bad we are at accents.
Yes.
Don't tell the audience that.
So some background things that I've kind of thrown in because I think they make sense for me, but they're up for discussion. People with powers are generally referred to by other people as X's. Because the scientists who are studying this matter call the genetic factor that causes this to be the X gene. But there are also some people who use this as a derogatory term, kind of like, most arbitrary labels that get applied to people. So, as we said, there's probably going to be some conflict going on between these two ideas. And we'll talk as we get into it about what's going on. But I did want to precede with a couple of things that are in the news in our world right now.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm just going to give you some titles for some news articles and news stories that have come out recently. One of them is called The X Question. How prevalent are people with the X gene, and how can we, as normal law-abiding citizens, determine how great a threat they are? There has been the formation of Department X, which is a government whose purpose is to study the X gene question, possibly among other things. There's an article called X Crime, which basically talks about what's to stop X's from just, going where they want, committing whatever crime they want. Well, we'll find out.
I've been wondering that about my exes for a really long time.
Yeah, it does open a lot of things, man. I'm starting to rethink my character. The whole all my exes come from Texas.
There is an openly pro-X article that just came out, and it is called Homo sapiens versus Homo superior.
Okay.
Magneto was right.
Which talks about how people with abilities, this X gene, is the natural next evolution of humankind, and that we should embrace it. So those are some things that are going on in the news right now. But let's talk about our world. So we're in Britain. We said we wanted to be in London, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Where in London do we think we'd like to be?
Kensington Garden. What? It's the only place I remember.
Do you guys have... Okay, let's take a step back from that for a second. Are you guys already a group? Or are you going to be individuals that we're going to form into a group as we go forward?
I don't know. I think there's some really good storytelling in putting the group together, actually, from disparate components.
Maybe we've worked together, like one time kind of by accident. Like, we all showed up to do something, and then we're like... Now we're just talking.
How about we cut a middle ground?
Okay.
Okay. Because I like the idea that you guys have some knowledge of each other, but that you know personally, in some way or other, two of the other player characters.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
That works.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Because one of the things that we're going to establish for each of your characters is relationships. Okay. All right. Excellent. So we're in and around London. You guys have some knowledge of each other. You're not a team yet, so I'm guessing because you're not a team, you probably don't have a base of operations. At least not as a base. You probably have your individual place. Whether it's a flat or whether you live on one of the estates or whatnot. Because we'll figure out based on who what you guys come up with for your characters. That actually answers those questions for me. So, how open is the conflict between normals and X's?
I guess how long would you think this has been going on? Is this something that's been...
I think it's been building up for the last decade.
Okay.
So basically, the current up and coming generation is the first generation that actually has lived with this fact as part of their lives. So you're going to deal with a lot of people that are older that are probably going to be more resistant to that change.
A lot of the known X's are late teens, early 20s.
So they're
but
okay.
But it's also become apparent that there were X's before that, but that they were pretty much hidden.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, there were very few of them.
There were fewer of them, and they didn't come out. They didn't make public their abilities.
Right.
Okay. As for what X's look like, totally up to you. What your characters look like. Some, this is kind of another conversation that we had before we got here was this is kind of an X-Man-esque level game. Mm. We're not saving the galaxy, probably. Yeah. Never know. Could happen. Yeah. But we're not street level. We're not street level heroes either.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Kind of in between.
We're not Morlocks, and we're not and we're not the Avengers.
Right.
I think if it's been about a decade, then you have that initial wave of fear and panic that's subsided, and then the push towards acceptance, and now this is the creeping anxiety about what it actually there's been enough time for repercussions across economics and international stuff. So I think there's just the level of tension is just a general anxiety because now it's very obvious that X's aren't simply part of the population.
Yeah.
Quick question,
they
though.
differentiate.
Timeline-wise, we're in current era and all of the current technology applies.
Yep.
So we have social media.
You have social media.
Nice.
People on Instagram showing superheroes doing
Sure.
super stuff. Or
Absolutely.
So it's something that
There have also been super criminals too.
yeah.
Which is probably one of the things that has led to more people being discovered because now there's the video and the phones that everybody has and all that stuff.
Right.
And not only that, but you're having a situation where the news media doesn't have quite the total control over the information that you get. Mm-hmm. So there's more word of mouth and community based opinions on what's going on without the powers that be trying to influence the public in one direction or another.
Yeah.
Although that probably still exists, it's probably somewhat downplayed by the fact that people are living with this and they're already interconnected in a way where their opinions that they form are more of a sounding board than what other people are telling them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of when you're trying to think of this kind of thing, how does the public view things? It's kind of different in this era because you have super polarized left and right type of situations where you have Breitbart and then you have the left wing media and then you have people talking amongst themselves. You can't just focus on what the newspaper is saying.
Right.
So we have to figure out.
And there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of manufactured pseudo truths and people who are making assertions without real knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear. I will say that there's a lot of fear.
I feel like there'd be a lot of restrictions on, like, you know, traveling, X's traveling from other countries to others. Like, it'd be like, you know, we have to deal with our own.
The obvious
X's.
X registry sort of
Well,
thing.
I
they
think
wanna do.
that there is talk about an X registry, and that, you know, this is the way the argument gets framed, is that X's should be registered for the same reason that sexual offenders should be registered.
Yay.
That's pleasant.
Yeah.
Well, I can see.
Or the same way that aliens from another country should be registered.
Yeah.
You know, it's that same, you know, fear
Yeah.
based thing.
I
Absolutely.
find it interesting that we're doing it in Britain too, because Europe, as far as personal lethal power, that you don't have firearms there. You don't have that kind of. People are used to basically others sort of protecting them, and they're not.
Yeah.
It's not like America where everybody has a shotgun. So I think that societies that are more used to the government regulating their own safety would probably be more prone to them wanting to register and regulate these things that might bring harm to the populace. So, but they would do it a lot more civilly, I think, than we would do it here.
Right.
There would be a referendum.
I will say that
I've
they're
seen
not
some,
at the
like,
point of.
Brexit hate.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's very.
I will say that politically, they're not at the point of making it illegal to be an X and not be registered. But they want X's to be registered,
So I think that
or at least there are groups of people who want X's to be registered.
so we're at the stage where there's a large social debate over what
Exactly.
to do, but no real action has been taken
Exactly.
yet. So there's a lot of discussion about it.
A lot of discussion, a lot of open debate in the media, and in social media.
Makes me wonder if any superheroes have gotten some marketing people backing their play and trying
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
bringing that whole
departments.
mystery men
PR
thing
and
in,
lobbyists.
PR and
Yeah,
lobbyists,
like-
exactly. If there are some wealthy X's out there that might want to throw some money at bettering the image of other X's.
Yeah.
But it also
Yeah.
feels important, like, to play as a group of X's, to know that, like, your every move and, like, your existence as a citizen is just a discussed topic at every point. Feels like an interesting tack to, like, think about as we build our characters, too.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if people know that you're an X, there are going to be some people who are going to be very open and friendly. People who are going to be like, "Yeah, cool, that's cool, awesome, that rocks," and there are going to be people who are going to go to the other side of the street to pass by.
Interesting.
Yeah,
But it's great fodder for play because you're dealing with basically racism.
Yes.
And, it's just sort of like a metaphor for racism.
That
Here's a genetic thing that you were born with. You had no effect over, and people judge you automatically.
Right.
for it. So-
that is absolutely the question.
Which
at hand.
is the beauty of X-Men.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
But I like the idea of somebody who's sort of drenched in white privilege suddenly being put into a situation where you're the other. I think that's also a very interesting idea.
Right?
Cool. So that kind of sets the frame for our world and worldview. I will say that in Britain, in the UK, there is a lot of rhetoric about this being all America's fault.
I like this.
Good.
Okay, there's a lot of
Okay.
rhetoric about that. So that's also a thing.
And what does America say about it?
No.
America has the largest per capita population of X's, and so the divide is actually much bigger in America.
Okay.
It's even broader, and there has been violence towards X's, and there have been reprisals
Interesting.
in America.
So it's a little more dangerous over there.
It's a more
Yeah, it's a little more American.
Yeah, right? Like, spots with increased genetic diversity have that problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
I wonder if there have been attempts to sort of nationalize this as an asset.
We might find out.
I mean, yeah, there's no way a government goes, like, we only are thinking about this registry so we can keep tabs on you without going, like, our list of Xers and their abilities is absolutely, like, an international deterrent. Like,
Yeah.
Love your country. Join the X-Force.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's kind of the direction I was thinking for my character, is
Okay.
being part of something like that,
Nice.
Cool.
and maybe being viewed as like a traitor because of it
Yeah.
by some people.
I like it.
Okay. I like this. I like where your head's at.
Okay.
I like where your head's at.
I'm kind of drifting towards like super pro X, like political like activists, like on the other end of that spectrum. Like,
That'll be fun.
yeah, it'll be great. Party conflict, yeah.
Yay!
I would never embrace that idea.
No, that's not entertaining at all.
No.
Excellent. I love it. All right. So, is there anything else we need to talk about our world? Because we're already starting to gravitate towards characters. And we can absolutely add anything we want at any given time.
Okay.
If something becomes an obvious reality for us in our game, we'll just add it.
Okay.
We just
Yeah.
weave it in. That'll be totally cool.
Nice.
I don't know like how Cortex creation goes, but is there like a limit to like I was thinking I'd be like fairly impoverished, like college kid level money.
Well, here's the deal.
Is that something we
There is
roll
a-
for?
on
There's
no,
a thing.
on this character sheet? There's a large block labeled notes,
Oh, okay, perfect.
Huzzah!
Excellent.
and it's however you want to frame it.
Okay, got it.
I'll take the colorful one. I just have a gray
Yeah.
one.
Sweet. Thank you.
I like the colorful one.
Yeah.
I need a printer.
I can always print stuff.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Okay, we'll talk about how the mechanics of building a character go together in just a minute, because I like what you're talking about your character concepts and your ideas, and I want to hear more about that. And with everything we do moving forward through character creation, I want you guys to talk to each other about it. Okay, if there's something that you really want to be a secret about your character, it's probably best to tell the other players, this is a thing and it's a secret about my character.
Okay, sweet.
Okay? The whole, I'm going to keep everything close inside, isn't going to work as well for this game
Okay.
as it would for like a D&D game or something like that. Okay? So we have an idea for an ex-activist.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about our political activist.
Well,
What are you thinking?
She's Irish because that's the other accent I have other than Russian.
Yay.
And Irish are not known for activism at all.
No, well, that was my.
They're
That's
so calm.
Yeah, that's why I kind of was like,
How
like thinking that like she's probably descended from Irish.
Irish.
Yeah, IRA. She's not IRA herself, I'm sure, but
Eggs.
like has that in her blood, has that in her family, and sees this as like her cause
Yeah.
that she is of her generation and her since her powers awakened. I don't have any concept for her powers yet.
That's
But
fine. It'll
seems-
come.
That seems
It'll come.
to match well
So-
with the Irish part.
Nice.
Maybe Granddad was an IRA commander.
Yeah. And she very much has like that vision of, okay, this is my fight now. Like I'm going to be standing up for the people's rights now, this way. And it'll be interesting.
Nice.
I like it.
No problems can come from that.
No, could never be a problem. And you were thinking, Mike, you were thinking about an
Yes.
agent of some
like,
government.
I'm wondering, is there, if there was if Scotland Yard has some division
MI0.
of, not necessarily
It's like
super.
Interpol
I'm,
X.
I'm thinking more. I'm not thinking so much as like super spy, secret agent.
Uh-huh.
More as like a guy who works for the cops that they send out when they have to deal with.
Does he work for
You're a
Department
Blade
X?
Runner.
Does he
Right.
work for Department X?
I don't know. Is I was thinking not so much shadowy government, more as like regular kind of.
Well, Department X is a very public.
Is it like
It's
a
a very
police-
public thing. It's billed as a science organization, as a research thing, but I could totally see them having.
Because like I'm wondering how many people like with this these abilities would actually sign up to be on the side of the government. I would have to imagine not that
Probably
many.
not very many. I'm thinking not very many.
Maybe it's like an experimental thing where they put you in the police department as like a very public like test.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's like
Okay.
hey, like
Or be a consulting detective type style.
Yeah.
Where
I
you're
like
affiliated but not necessarily part of the force,
yeah, because that would make regular people know. Oh, like the cops
Like
have like
X-Men meets Castle.
superpowers. Or like Sherlock Holmes type. Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of. But yeah, just someone who is concerned with like public service and public safety and like
How
there's
does
all this new stuff and oh wait, he has these powers to
Right.
help as well. So
How does he feel about this? The whole X Registration Act.
for it,
It's for it.
yeah,
Let me ask you a question. Though.
yeah.
Why is your character so focused on wanting to be a public servant?
That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Nice.
That's great. That's a conversation that needs to go on.
I would think my first thought was like some kind of family duty type of thing.
Yeah.
Like this is what my family's done for years, and just because I'm different doesn't mean it's not going to be what I'm going to do.
That's extraordinarily British too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought. Going, it's like a legacy thing, and like does his family accept that? I don't know. I would think maybe they'd be proud, but maybe they're like, oh, but you're one of them. I don't know.
What if you're just trying to prove yourself to them?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's
Nice.
You got fire in your belly.
so yeah, like that's two different families with two different aims.
I like
Two families, both alike in dignity.
in fair London.
Where they are seen.
Excellent. What are you thinking, Jim?
Well, I had two ideas coming into this, and one's actually sort of popping more to the surface than the other. One was sort of like a academician who stumbled onto his powers because he's experimenting with this X gene. And another one was a more street level character who had who was a musician and also had sonic powers.
Ooh.
Cool.
To go along with that, and he's sort of stuck in the subculture of the clubs of Britain, and becomes embroiled in the plight of the poor mutants that are basically struggling to survive.
Okay.
So he's sort of like a street level character. I was thinking he would be like Boombox, and he was like a DJ and stuff, and he had sonic powers and stuff. And the other one was like a guy that had the power to create micro singularities.
Okay.
So he would be like Professor Singularity or something like that, and he just had gravity powers. But his whole thing. But the reason why I'm gravitating, no pun intended, to that character is because I like the idea of somebody who is used to being someone of privilege, someone that's used to being someone who is definitely in the in crowd socially, and then is suddenly ostracized because it's discovered that he has these abilities. I like the idea of playing with the whole. But no, I'm a normal person. Huh? No, you're not. But yeah, really, I am. I'm used to being that. That's the way I was raised. I went to Oxford. God damn it. And
I like that. I like that dichotomy.
yeah.
I like that internal conflict.
Yeah, so he's constantly trying to sort of shun the stigma of what he is, but he can never really let it go because it becomes at the core of what he becomes interested and fascinated by, and his the only thing that's actually more powerful in his psyche than his pride is his intellect and pursuit of knowledge.
Nice.
So, he's constantly conflicted between the person that he views himself as externally versus the person that he actually is inside, and it causes a lot of conflict for the character.
Cool.
Dope.
I dig it. Dig it. So are you leaning? Going to?
I'm thinking I'm going to go with Professor Singularity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is what I used to call my cat. before he passed, because he liked to test gravity. He would like anything that was on a high place, he'd like to pop it up. It's like, Professor Singularity, making sure gravity works again.
Yeah.
Still good. Still works on this glass.
Yes.
You should clean that up.
Thanks.
Bastard.
Yes.
No, it's more like my miniatures.
100%.
Nice.
Excellent. I
like
love
cats
it.
are assholes.
What do you think, Bria?
I'm leaning towards someone that's like extremely high up, like on the the work end of things. Like she's a director at like a large multinational corporation and has been able to pass for most of her life because her power, like the power I'm leaning towards is because I just read Mistborn recently. I like some of the Allomancy powers, so we'll dig into that later.
Nice.
But because that's so far away from like anything she had to do, because she was never raised on like that street level of like needing to use her powers. She just lived a totally like normal corporate life, and then at some point during like a very tense meeting, her powers like slipped out, and her company, like the business now, like has promoted. Like she basically was able to push through the glass ceiling by like becoming the corporation's bulldog, because like she's now the threat that they send out. So she's like learned to be intimidating with it. Like she now has no problem being open about her powers because it's helped her like advance in her career now, because she's now like an X in a place of power.
So it sounds to me like all of you guys are openly X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like I have the sense that like when people come into her office for meetings, like you know those little stupid the little clacky desk thing, like she like sets it off at the beginning of a meeting so everyone knows that she's an X. She's like, all right, let's talk.
Yeah.
So there's always that like little bit of a threat that, like,
Yeah.
you're in a room with an X.
Yeah. Use that as like
Yeah.
a power play.
And that
Exactly.
can absolutely make normals very nervous.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what you can do.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
I
And,
can see other
like-
companies
and-
just going, you can have what you want, just don't send it.
and there are
Exactly.
rumors, I mean wild rumors, like, of X's just like stopping people's hearts, just like with
Yeah.
the snap of a finger, or, passing as other people, and, controlling people's minds, just all kinds of,
Interesting.
wild, rumors of what people have seen. May or may not be true. Don't know. We'll find out. Don't know. Okay, excellent. I love it. I love the ideas that you guys are cooking with. So let's talk about what's on your character sheet real quick.
Okay.
Okay. There are 3 attributes in this game.
Oh yeah. Doesn't matter.
And everything in this game can be broken down into one of these 3 things. You're doing something mentally. You're doing something physically. Or you're doing something socially.
That's very simple.
Okay. You have 3 die types to work with. You have a D10, a D8, and a D4. Assign one of those to each one of those things.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Should we like talk about our powers? a
I
little
think
more
you should.
first? Yeah.
I think you should. I just wanted to take a quick walk through the character sheet and talk about
That makes
what's
sense.
there,
Okay.
because that might inform how you think about some things. Then you have affiliations. Affiliations, again, there are 3 of them, and they are if you're working alone, you're working solo, if you're working with one buddy, or if you're working as part of a team.
Okay.
You have values, and there are 6 of them: duty, glory, justice, love, power, and truth. And basically, when you want to do a thing, if you can weave how one of these things applies to it, how you're doing this because of how you feel about this duty, and that could go either way. It could be either I believe firmly in justice, and this is an injustice, and I'm trying to fix this injustice. You can apply that. I'll take that. Or it could be that you are wildly opposed to the thing. And it could still apply.
Okay. So are these things that we can kind of like make a case for?
Yeah.
Okay. So like if we're in a situation and like Mike's character thinks something is an injustice, and I think it's totally like no, he deserved that because he's been persecuting X's.
That is a moment
okay.
for you guys to have that conversation.
So we can both roll justice on that, even though it's 2 separate points
Sure,
of view. Okay.
absolutely,
Nice.
absolutely, you can.
I like
Cool.
that.
Yeah, I like that a
That's
lot.
great.
Then you
That's
have
a great alignment system.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's great.
then you have relationships,
Okay.
and there's room for 3, but you can have as many as you like.
Okay.
I will ask that you have at least 2.
Okay.
Distinctions are things that are unique and specific about your character. They typically have a trigger. We'll talk in more detail about those in a little Powers. These are your powers, your abilities, the things that you can do. There's room for 4 of them, and they range from a D10 down to a D6 because you guys are kind of new at this.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. You have basically you have a power that's really strong, but might be a little bit harder to control.
Okay.
You have one that you're pretty good at, and you have a couple that you're okay at.
Okay.
Okay. Then you have room for 3 assets. You start the game with 1 asset. We'll talk about what that is because it's a physical thing.
Okay.
Could be a car. Could be just it is a thing, and it's and you want to use that thing and lean on it at some point in the game.
Okay.
Okay. Description totally up to you.
Cool.
We'll so that's everything on the character on a character sheet.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
So let's continue our discussion about what you're thinking.
Well, I can tell you, for this particular character, duty is going to be the tops.
That would make sense.
That's the one thing I can fill in right now.
Nice.
That would make sense.
So, because that's basically his entire life. So,
And the other thing is that I may leverage one of those things and say, don't you have a D10 in duty? And this is definitely a thing that's about doing your duty for people, and I will offer you a plot point at that point.
okay.
And if you stand on that, basically you're going to let me have your D10 for that role.
Okay.
Okay, I will give you a plot point. Plot points are used for a number of things, and we'll talk about in greater detail about that. It's just be aware that I may also leverage things on your character sheet sometimes.
Okay.
Sweet.
Works kind of like a compel. Fate.
Yes, and actually that particular thing is not part of the Cortex Prime rules. It's because I like compels.
It's a jibism. And I love those things too.
I like compels. Compels should be a part of every game.
I think temptation should be part of everything.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what it is. It's a temptation to act or not act based on, the values that you've chosen.
Interesting.
I guess one of my main questions would be like, in terms of powers, like how does it work? Like, so the character like I'm thinking of has like some kind of electric power, like using either static electricity or imbuing other objects with electrical charge to do stuff.
Right.
Maybe throwing knives. I don't know. Throwing knives are rad.
Throwing knives are very rad.
But like, how would we leverage that into like individual powers?
Well, what you would do is say, I have lightning burst or a lightning stream or whatever, this lightning power, whatever you want to call it. And then the frame of it is, at any point in the game, you're going to do a thing and you want to use your lightning powers. Ta-da! You just describe that narratively how you're using your lightning power to do the thing.
And then roll it. Yeah.
It's very openly narrative.
Yeah, because I was thinking, is like I didn't know if it would be like, okay, so is like imbuing an object with lightning one power, and then like some kind of thunder wave would be another power. Like that's kind of what or would it just be like,
So yeah, like how
lightning?
granular.
Lightning is one. Anything you want to do with that kind of electric ability.
Well, let's talk about what it says here. What it talks about.
Okay.
What the
Good
SRD
question.
actually talks about powers.
So we've got electric, we've got gravity,
Metal.
metal. Okay. Maybe I'll do something more mental then.
Nice.
So,
Maybe
like-
some kind of social attack.
Yeah.
Like you can basically get people roused up.
Yeah.
Like
I like
you
something
total
like that.
rabble rouser.
Some sort of like mental manipulation.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, interesting. Sort of like demigod's power. Yeah, right. I can see that. I can see that working well.
So
I feel like she probably would not have survived very long if she had like a big power. Like I feel if she could like blow things up, like she would already be like dead or in prison.
Right.
Like she'd be like in the new X prison, which would have been built for her.
Yeah, she doesn't look like a person that
That's amazing.
self-control is a
Yeah,
big
so
Yeah.
she's got to have something a little more subtle, I think.
Some
I
dude
like that.
steals some kid's lollipop
I'm
and
pretty
turn him
sure-
into cinder.
I'm pretty sure our relationship is going to be I've arrested you.
I think we should be X's.
Ooh.
I
Oh, that's
think
awesome.
you
No, we're
had
all
like
X's.
yeah, no, because I'm like obsessed with
That
the
was
X
a
thing.
dumb joke.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like focused on that because I think that might be the only reason like I would put up with your presence.
Okay.
Is if we had like a past romantic entanglement, like maybe like for a while when you first found out you were an ex, like you like, and then we had like a thing because I was like an ex activist, and you kind of went, and then you're like, no, I have to go follow my duty, and I was like, what? No. And then maybe like I still have a little bit of resentment about that.
Okay.
But then like that's probably I don't know. That's
No, that
like
sounds-
my fantasy that I've
I mean,
created
that
in the last 5 minutes.
That sounds good too, because yeah, that's like because yeah, you to tolerate somebody who has like in your eyes turned against.
Basically diametrically
The only
Right.
way you could like accept that is if you knew like the person behind it.
Right, and I had hope that I could like bring you back to that, and I still have like that emotional connection. I still care about you.
I can totally see your character just falling apart and dejected once he finds out that he has this, just and basically just runs away, just collect his thoughts, and you run into her.
Hi.
Oh,
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sweet.
good stuff.
So
Totally.
basically, the way Cortex Prime frames powers is as what it calls power sets, which is just like a generic description of a power. And the examples they have are not so much powers as such. Like Russian science experiment is one that it lists.
Okay.
Whereas,
Okay.
I was a Russian science experiment. I don't know what that means. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
It could be the way I view it is. Have you played Fate?
I haven't. No.
Okay. In Fate, there are these things called aspects, and aspects are phrases that describe who the character is. I look at these kind of like aspects, whereas you describe what the power is. It's can be just it could be something as simple as saying electricity or lightning or something like that. And then how you shape it and frame it, the more precisely you try to frame it, the more options you're giving me for greater difficulty. So it would be simple to fire a lightning blast. Okay, it would be harder to shape a structure out of lightning.
Okay.
Okay, so it's really going to come down to how you were trying to use it in the moment. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of the power description as more of a narrative overview of what the powers look like and do. What they specifically do is up to the moment of what you want to
Right.
create.
Right.
It's more descriptive rather than proscriptive.
Exactly.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's just a matter of like I just trying to figure out how to assign like dice values to things. Is the
No,
question.
I understand. It's
Yeah.
it's,
tricky.
it's
We'll
the
talk about
nature
it.
of open narrative
We'll-
systems.
We'll get there.
Is that you have to frame things ourselves.
Yeah. When things get too creative, they become a little bit more difficult than just choosing from a list of powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're in the
Aspects are hard.
driver's seat, which is
Aspects
awesome.
are hard.
Yeah, aspects are super hard.
It's very cool.
Because in that game, you got to figure out how they're going to affect you both positively and negatively.
Sweet.
What do you think? Powers?
The main one I put down was just generally allomancy. Like, I really like the push-pull system from Mistborn, where, like, it's not just, like, I can fling a coin out or pull it back to me. Like, there's also mechanics for, like, if I push on a metal wall, like, I go backwards.
Sure.
So, like, weight comes into it as a factor, too, and allows for, like, interesting, like, physics.
So if you try to lift something, it's also pushing down on you.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I'm not going to lift a car.
Nice. I like that.
Or if you do, you're taking risks.
Yeah, exactly. But the idea of like if I jump, like if you run up a hood and then push off of a car and push down, like you fly up
Right.
as much as someone would from like the mass that's much heavier. So like there's a lot of like fun springy
Right. So when you
physics.
push on the car pushes back.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like
I
it.
see my stuff working a lot. Like, ever played Mass Effect?
Yeah.
There's a biotic ability where they go out and
yeah.
basically everybody's floating around because there's no gravity, or they create a center and everybody's pulled to it, and those kind of effects is what I had in mind.
Sweet.
Nice.
I like it.
Other than that, like probably something about being sturdy.
If you want to have if you don't want to fill in all of the powers and you want to leave something blank to discover later,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I am totally fine with that.
Nice.
So, as my first power, what I put is there is no up and down.
Nice. I like that.
I say what's up and what's down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so basically it's just like, all right, gravity's there now. And everybody's like, or I can walk on a wall or a ceiling or something like that.
So, okay. I like it. I like it. And you were thinking something social?
Yeah, I'm gonna name it "Charm Their Pants Off."
Yes. Nice.
Doesn't always have to require them taking their pants off, but sometimes it does.
Yay.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus.
And then I was thinking something like mind reading or something similar in that vein, since that's sort of a similar
Yeah.
thing. So
I like it.
This guy's turning out to be kind of a jerk. Okay.
it's okay. I don't feel like we're going to be like super great people,
Yeah,
even though we might do good things.
Accurate.
Anti-heroes.
Yeah, you don't need to be a good person to do
We're,
good things.
Yes.
Life is messy.
Yeah.
Life is messy.
Is it better for me to okay? So I'm kind of thinking like, okay, is it better to be like Jean Grey, like reading people's minds, or is it better to have like Lucifer powers, where I'm like, what is it that you desire, and they have to like tell me?
Ooh.
Is that more interesting to have them like?
You have
say
4
it?
slots. Why
I
not
know.
both?
I know, but I don't know. But I'm trying to think like, I don't know, whether it's more interesting narratively to have them like that conversation happen, or for me.
I like the compulsion
Yeah. Okay, I like the
venue myself.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, it gives us that
back
conversation.
and forth. Yeah. Okay.
And it gives us much more of an opportunity for emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I still get like the correct answers. Like they can't say no to me. Like they want to tell me everything.
They can try to resist.
Yes, but they can also try to resist the telepathy.
They can also try to resist the telepathy.
Yeah.
But if they don't resist, they have to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they can't prevaricate
Okay.
in that circumstance.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. That works.
If you got a partial success,
Yeah.
you might get partial,
But that's still true of telepathy. So it's not like I'm taking a less powerful. It's more interesting.
It's just more interesting narratively.
I like the approach of being, instead of direct mind control,
Yeah.
you have emotional control.
I like that.
So if somebody is calm, you can push them towards enraged. If somebody's enraged, you can. If there's a crowd that needs to go into riot, you can basically manipulate the
I like
emotions of
that.
the crowd.
Would that sort of be the same thing? Like I can emotion.
I think those are two different things.
Okay. I'll take both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to call it "What is it that you desire?" Just because that's what Lucifer says to everybody. But it can be any question.
Right.
Nice.
Okay.
Right.
What do you desire?
Decided my power is called electric body.
I like it.
Because like this character's powers aren't like shooting beams out or anything. It's kind of like the ability to electrify himself, like to use static electricity to like cling to walls or like
Ooh.
Is that your 10?
yeah. Or do you think that's not?
No. I think that's excellent. I just one of the things that I thought about, and I wanted to ask you guys about this. One of the things that we can apply to anything is what's called a trigger, and a trigger is in certain circumstances things might be more difficult or things might prove to be problematic in some way. And I personally like the idea of I have this power, but in certain circumstances it could be dangerous for me to use it. Like in your case, I have the power to manipulate electricity, but if everything is all wet,
Yeah.
that could be a problem. Would you guys be open to that?
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I would only do that on your D10 power. The others work without difficulty because this one is the one that's more oomph.
Yeah.
I think that's just part and parcel to the whole superhero trope. I mean, Superman has kryptonite. There's always, You know,
Right.
Green Lantern has yellow, and there's always a certain circumstance where their power isn't quite as awesome as it is, and that's the only way to create conflict with somebody that's basically a superpower.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, I want to be a human taser.
Okay. Then
Nice.
Then if you on that power, let's apply the trigger allergic to water.
Okay.
Ah, nice.
Sweet.
And
But it's so rainy.
I call
in
it my third
England.
one. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It is rainy in England.
Oh,
it is rainy in England. Oops.
By comparison to us, like, but everywhere is rainy
Okay.
in comparison to us.
Yeah.
mostly.
'Cause-
The Sahara Desert, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So I call the other one what do you desire, and then emotion bomb.
Okay. And the one you put charm your pants off.
Yeah, that's the top one. I haven't added values to them yet. I'm trying to decide which
Okay.
one.
Okay. No, that's fine.
So charm their pants off. What do you desire? And emotion bomb.
Right. So when we know which one is your D10 power, we'll figure out a trigger to
Okay.
go with you. To go with it.
The Allomancy is definitely my D10 power.
Has a trigger mass pushes back.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sweet.
like that. Yeah. Nice. I'm trying to think about which one would have things go wrong the most. It's like, which one do I want to have a major flaw in it? I feel like emotion bomb would be the most fun. So when I try and like give someone emotion or give like a crowd an emotion, like there's like a
Feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Got that.
I like it. Her second power is Iron Constitution. I think, like, over years of trying to figure out, like, the mass pushes back mechanic, she's, like, broken a bunch of bones. And
I was
where
going to ask about that.
yeah, where she's grown up, like, they do lots of, like, metal plating around bones. So she's kind of into it because she can, like, play with those, like, fields, too. So it's, like, having enough metal, like, in your ankles means that, like, it's easier for her to now, like, cushion when she jumps from something really high. And
Okay.
she tends to wear a lot of clothes that have, like, she has, like, custom-made outfits with, like, small amounts of metal running through them. So she can, like, build little fields to, like, cushion blows.
Okay, just you might want to make a note of this. You'll probably want something like that as an asset.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. That's a cool idea.
So I figured my attack power, I'm going to name Gravitic Lens,
Okay.
because basically I can create a burst of like microgravity in a direction to like punch somebody from a distance or something like that.
Nice.
And the third power, because I think I'm going to leave my fourth slot blank and figure it out later.
Okay.
But the third power is benefits of falling sideways. So I can move very fast, basically creating a gravity well in front of me and just falling towards it. But I have sometimes some trouble stopping myself correctly. So it's like my weakest power because I just don't know how to control it quite yet.
Okay.
But there is no up or down. It's definitely going to be my 8 power. I'm trying to figure out like a neat trigger for that
Okay.
or something that.
Can I just say caveat on the allergic to water? Is that only going to apply to like standing pools?
There
of
would have to
water?
be a significant amount of
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Because I am
Humidity
I
would
am
be
a good
ridiculous.
portion of water as a
Humidity-
person.
Yeah.
Ugly bag
Okay,
of
for
mostly
sure.
water.
If it's like drizzling to a normal to like a medium rain, not going to be a problem. If it's pouring rain, that might be a problem.
Okay, fair.
And I feel like you're probably immune to your own power. Like if you're creating electricity, you're not going to electrocute yourself
I-
unless
I-
you're standing in water.
I think you wouldn't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It'd be more dangerous to
There would be
everyone
there
around
could
me.
be collateral.
Ooh, I like
damage.
that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that being a problem. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to also just have 3 for now.
Okay.
I'm trying to decide if charm their pants off and what do you desire too close. Because one's like a compulsion, I guess the other one's just like trying to get them to do what I want them to do.
They do feel very close.
Yeah, they're very
There's a
similar.
similarity to them. I
Yeah.
think. I could see charm their pants off being more a getting them to do something,
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
and what you most desire is to get information.
Like compel them to
Like,
give me
to
information. Like
talk
they can't
to-
not do it.
to get information from you. Yeah,
Okay.
from them. Yeah.
All right, we'll see that. We'll see if
And another thing, if anything we do on your characters, if we get, a little ways down the line and something's just not working for you, we'll fix it. We'll
Okay.
refactor it.
Okay.
We'll just change it up. Won't bother me a bit.
Okay.
Really love the idea of leaving 1 or 2 powers blank. So
Yeah.
as you're going along, you can discover something.
gives you
else.
room to evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
It's
like
fun.
it.
How about the downside for there is no up and down is sometimes I forget. As in, I lose track of
Which way
some
is
of the
it?
gravity wells that I've built. or sometimes they move on their own, and I can't really check it when
you
I've
lose
done too many.
control.
Okay, let's call it which way is up.
All right.
Nice. I like that.
Nice.
I had an idea for a power that would be like basically like lightning speed. When I'm on a metal surface, I can go much faster.
Oh.
Okay.
I can see you like basically skating on a power line.
Yeah, something like that.
I can see myself making you a thing, like a rail.
Yes.
Like what? Go.
Nice.
I like it. I dig it. I'm for it.
You become a bullet train at that point. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, would a trigger for that be like I can only
You don't have
use
to
it
have a
if there's
trigger
metal
for
around?
anything but your D10 power.
Yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
Rad. Man, I am really, really bending towards putting solo as my top one, just because it just makes sense. I'm not used to working with a bunch of other people.
Yeah. I mean, my 10 is definitely going to be buddy because, like, as a cop, I probably have a partner that I
Partner,
work
yeah.
with.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it makes
At,
sense.
at least at the start of this, before whatever.
That's
gets
the
us
thing
together.
is, these things might change
Yeah.
as we move
Right.
forward.
Okay.
So I'm saying is like I like the idea of starting with solo, but as I start getting closer and closer to you guys, then or if it's one in particular, I go to buddy or whatever.
Right.
It's none of this stuff is set in stone.
Yeah. So the team is like our team.
The team, okay, solo is you're working alone.
Yeah.
Buddy is you're working with one other person. Team is you're working with more than one other person.
So it doesn't have to be
Doesn't
this
have to be
group.
this team.
Got it. So that will be my 10 for sure. Because I'm definitely most effective when I have crowds of people to command.
Nice.
Okay.
100%. And then second most effective when I have a buddy to command. And probably least effective on my own by myself.
Sweet.
Because physical is also 4. It's my least effective one. So not too proud of my own always.
I'm curious. When you're alone, do you hear things?
I probably do. I probably don't hear things. I like the emotion thing. I probably feel
Just like
people's
get
emotion.
peop-
Yeah, like the people in the apartments next to me, like I can feel when they're having a fight.
I
And
totally see like you all, Troy from Star Trek. I sense no deception.
Right, kind of like that, except more obnoxious and probably drunk a lot.
Hey, Irish.
Irish, absolutely. The whiskey never lies.
Not that we're into stereotypes in any way.
No, I know a lot of
Irish,
Irish
it's fine.
people. It's totally, yeah, it's accurate, and they're proud of it. So I think that,
Hold on sequitur.
yes.
Sometime when you're looking around on just playing around on YouTube, do a search for Toto Africa Gaelic.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I
so
got that.
good.
It is so good.
So good.
Like I haven't listened to every version of that song that's ever been created.
Yes,
Come on.
so good. There's a special Gaelic performance camp in Ireland, though, and every year they do like a big performance as like the graduating thing, and they did that song as their one last year, and it was and they do it
Nice.
all completely in Gaelic.
Yeah.
It's so good. And just fascinating. You're just like, that is the craziest language I've
It
ever
is
heard.
so
It's so
beautiful.
strange, but it's so beautiful. They're great singers. Sorry. Anyway. Interesting.
non
No, it's okay.
sequitur.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
okay. So yeah, no, I think that's like
Okay.
she probably doesn't like being alone a lot because when she, at least when she's with other people and interacting, she can like focus and like she still feels from the other people, but she has like a mission. She can like
Right.
think of
She
it.
can kind of buffer it
Yeah, with
a
like
little bit when she can focus on a person, but
Yeah.
when there's not another person,
yeah.
she has to focus on her own brain.
Yeah.
And that opens her up to.
Yeah, it's probably the worst when she's asleep because
Okay.
she probably is like no like mind block. So she probably pulls in so much emotion like when she's sleeping. She probably doesn't sleep very
What's
well.
crazy is that
it's
you
one of
probably
my
don't
favorites.
drink as much as you do because you like drink just because it's the only way you can get some sleep.
Get some sleep, exactly. Like it's
Nice.
self-medicating 100%.
I
She
think
plays it
that's-
off as fun, but
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a distinction.
Sweet.
So let me read you what it says about distinctions.
okay.
Player characters have 3 distinctions that paint a clearer picture of their background, personality, and their role in the story. They are used to inspire roleplay and for your character and are one of the main ways to earn plot points. Distinctions are always rated as a D8, and as such don't necessarily need to have the die rating included in the text when referring to them. So a distinction is a thing about your character that it's very much like an aspect. It describes something salient about your character.
Okay.
And I kind of think you have the distinction alone with myself.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like you could be Irish too if you really wanted to be. I feel like she'd find that very attractive.
Do that.
Possible.
I'm so if you're both Irish, I'm just spitballing an idea here. If you're both Irish, where did you meet in Ireland? Where that was where you met and had your romance, and then you ran off in different directions.
And now we're back in London.
And then you both ended up in London, and I want to hear in a little bit about that moment when you guys came nose to nose again. Or maybe that'll happen in game.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Nice.
I mean, you don't have to be. I'm just thinking.
That's just a thought.
Because you were thinking that accent too, so I don't want to like steal it from you.
Yeah.
I feel like it could work either way. I feel like it also would work if you wanted to be something else. If you wanted to be American or whatever you wanted to be.
Well, the thing was that I was thinking with this character is that like because his family is part of like the law enforcement and it's like Scotland Yard, I would think it would be from London.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
That was kind of my thought.
I mean, you can be Irish in
Could have
London.
Could have gone to school in Ireland or
Yeah.
something. You know?
Hey, it probably happened while you were in university, and that could definitely be a thing. Because that's, when you're young and wild and sowing your own,
Crazy.
discovering yourself.
I like it.
Well, there's also Irish people who live in London. So they're not
No,
mutually
it's never
exclusive.
happened.
It's never
Don't
happened.
put things like that out there. It's not real.
It's a mystery. It'll never happen.
It's not allowed.
Why is he here? He's obviously Irish.
Nice. Her affiliation, by the way, is definitely like solo buddy team, top down. Just because the more people are on the field, the more variables get manipulated. Especially with other X's around. We're like, I'm gonna move this car. I'm like, I was using that to fly. Shit. Yeah. So she's like, if I can control all the variables out here, this is great. So she's great alone.
Okay.
And the more people that are
Actually,
around,
that's also a distinction. You
the harder it gets.
You like to call your own shots. So you're like
too many variables.
I'm definitely buddy team solo because it's like working.
Sure.
or I control all the variables.
Too many variables.
Trying to think of wording for a distinction for that.
I liked what you said, though. What did you say?
Too many variables.
Too many variables.
Yeah.
I like it. That works. That works.
Nifty.
Sweet.
Like, do the distinctions kind of applied to the values and affiliations a little bit?
Distinctions are things that usually have some kind of thing that will trigger them to happen, and sometimes they have an effect. They don't have to, but for example, right? Our Irish social manipulator here is alone in a cell because she's been captured by some bad guys, and now she's stuck in a room by herself. I'm gonna trigger that, and I will say something about it.
Yeah.
At that point.
Okay.
Or you can trigger it and say, this is happening, for this reason. This thing is affecting me for this reason right now. And if you do that, you get a plot point.
Nice. Excellent.
Sweet.
Plot points, like I said, can be used to do a lot of things. We'll talk about exactly what in a little bit.
Sorry, I guess I'm kind of not getting it too much.
Okay.
But is it like, so Kimi's character being alone would be a disadvantage because your whole thing is manipulating other people. Yours is too many when there's too many things going on. That's kind of a bad.
Could be a problem.
Yeah.
So is that the kind of thing
That's the kind of thing you're looking for a distinction.
Okay.
It's something that probably has adversely affected you in your life.
Gotcha.
Here's the example they have. Apocalyptic cult survivor. What you experienced in the cult had a profound effect on your life, and what you do now a decade later.
Okay.
So I put down as my first distinction as science is a blessing and a curse.
I like it.
So basically, science is at the he figures at the direct root of why he has been ostracized by the society that he so loved, but it's also his passion and everything that he loves. So it's one of those things where when he's ever faced with a situation where he needs to find some kind of scientific truth, it becomes difficult for him to focus on it at sometimes, because he's thinking about, what if I make another mistake? What if it just doesn't affect me and it affects others? He understands the danger of delving into these greater truths, although he can't help himself but go for it.
Okay, I think I hear another distinction in there too.
All right.
Endless curiosity.
That's good.
That's a good one.
And that fits the namesake of the character too. I missed that cat.
Like, basically, the what I'm trying to get at to get to with this character is, like, for distinction is, he's very concerned with duty and, like, doing what's asked of him and doing, you know, what's right for the people in charge, but also he really wants to prove himself and show that he's, like,
Okay.
he can.
I'm hearing two distinctions in there. One of them that I'm hearing is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Okay.
Nice.
Or just the needs of the many is sufficient for us to know what we're talking about.
Okay.
I think there's also a distinction in there of the need to prove yourself.
Show him what you got.
Yeah.
Nice.
Show 'em what you got is a good one.
Show them what you can do.
Yeah.
But I think there's also something in a subtext in what you said there, in that perhaps your character has some difficulty deciding for himself what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
You know, he needs guidance, so that's why he follows the law, because he knows
Oh.
that he knows that it's an absolute and that
That's good.
he'll never deviate from
That
it.
is what
Yeah.
that is. You're,
Nice.
you're where I'm
The
at.
established social order.
Yeah, that's a good one. Established social order.
I was thinking for another distinction, too much to lose, because like the more open she is with her powers, like the more she's like a publicly known ex versus like occasionally in a boardroom.
I like
using
it.
So it's like, hey, we're gonna get in a big fight.
And to carry on with that idea a little bit, when she's in the boardroom or in a negotiation with another company, that knowledge is an asset. But if she becomes an embarrassment to the company somehow,
Exactly.
that could be a problem.
It's like a super tightrope. I like that.
I like it. So I see another distinction in there of corporate tightrope.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I definitely say this character has seen what has happened when exes get on the wrong side of the law, and that's kind of like, this is. I see what it's like when it can get really bad, and I do not want that to be
Right.
the norm. So,
I also see this character as very proper, as in British proper, sort of snooty type of that. So all proprieties must be observed is going to be my last
Okay.
one.
That's going to go over super well.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm putting that in there just to be a foil.
just for me.
I would never want you guys to end up working at odds, at odds to one another. I would hate that. That would be awful.
I would say this character is also fairly
You're
like
right, it's too
working
big for the
class as opposed to these two.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd be more like, like where I said the family was involved in law enforcement. It was never like higher ups in law enforcement. It was like maybe like the
So,
son
like-
of a beat cop or
Like
something like
Desk
generations
sergeant.
of beat cops and desk sergeants before you.
pretty much.
I like
So
it.
you're
Super
basically an
cute.
American Irish cop.
Nice.
We've been policemen for generations.
I think FISA's company also wants to do a bit of ex lobbying. So has probably she's probably knows you. I'm trying to build relationship stuff now.
Oh wait, do you have a name now?
Yeah, it's FISA. I found a name with umlauts on the I, so Thais lives
Nice.
on. I was just going down a list of Maghrebi names. Yeah, you're fiddly.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at too.
Faiza. Oh yeah, she's Algerian, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny because I play historical miniatures games and have an auxiliary army.
Sweet.
Because they have the coolest costumes, man.
Yeah,
Because
sweet.
fezzes are cool.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. Anybody else got a name?
I do. I have Colleen O'Connor.
Nice.
I would.
She's a good
I was
They're
idea.
both O'Connors.
Well, I was going to suggest the name Colleen. I was like, that's a good Irish name.
It's a great.
Well, that's my
name.
mom's name. So.
Oh, nice.
Aww.
It's
Is
a
it
good
Colleen
name.
with two S's? I can just see it. Do you have a name?
I'm gonna. Jim has something going on over here. I want to hear what his is.
My name is Edison Cornwall III. Professor
course it is.
Edison Cornwall
My
III.
goodness. That is quite the name.
Somebody
is a
actually
lot.
should be British in this
True.
game. Yeah.
Never me. I will never be that.
I was probably just going to shoot for something pretty like working class, like Simon or Eddie. Simon, I think, was where I was thinking.
I like it.
Simon's a great name.
I
Adorable.
like
I
it.
don't have a last name yet.
Yeah, it's same.
Cool. And you decided he was British, right?
Yeah.
I think your last name should be something very basic, like Smith or Thatcher or something like that. Nothing that has any type of.
I will
royal
say
Yeah.
that when
upper
you said
classy
Simon,
thing.
my brain went Simon Guthrie.
Okay.
Uh-uh.
I can do that. Works for me. I like it.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent. So, yes.
No.
Okay. So everybody's got a name, and we've talked about each other and what kind of a little bit about who we are. Let's talk about some relationships. Like I said, I'd like for you to have a relationship with two of the other characters.
Well, we got one.
What was your name again?
Faiza.
I gotta write these down.
The thing is, it's really easy for me because I think my character is already kind of known as the crackpot ex-scientist. So it would be a very easy thing to say that the characters at certain points when they discover they were exes either gravitated towards my direction to sort of like try to figure out what's going on with them, or maybe the idea that I basically I have a clinic that goes, I'll discover what your powers are and tell you about them. In exchange, I get to do a mild amount of research on
Oh.
Okay.
and that would give me a very easy reason to know any of the characters.
Do you think you have a relationship with the government in that aspect?
Thinking that he's very proper and very loyal to the crown, he would probably have no problem, especially since he would see it as a way for him to sort of get back in the good graces of academia. He would try to work with the government as much as possible, or whatever system of power exists. He's definitely a cog in the machine, at least at this point. He's not rebellious like you at all. He's definitely wants to get back in.
I think you might be a contact if we're ever like hunting down like someone who's gone rogue, and it's like, hey, is anyone that fits this power description in your records? Have you met with anyone? Like,
So I work with you as a consultant, sort of on X powers.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's your relationship to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be kind of like a casual, not a casual, like a professional, like acquaintance
Yeah.
relationship.
And you'd probably be like the main liaison between the police and me, since they see you as well. You're one of them, so you can go talk to him.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's definitely.
And we had Colleen and Simon as exes,
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
so that one actually is bidirectional.
I feel like I don't actually know Faiza, but I feel like she's someone I would like hold up in my like protests, and like this is an ex who's like on the top of her company. She shows that she can like she'd be some like an image I'd use
Right.
politically.
Right, but you don't have a relationship.
love to
you just
stop you
know-
from doing
Yeah, she probably dislikes me because of
Yeah.
that, though, even though we don't know
Quit
each
it.
other.
Yeah.
Unfollow.
Well, that could be your relationship back to her.
Yeah,
yeah,
is
like that.
is that you don't have a relationship with her because
No.
she's just somebody who's this
Just
is
her
this-
picture.
right? Picture, see.
Look at this.
But you have a relationship back to her in that
It is. Could you not?
could you not?
Stop that. Maybe that's how we met. Maybe
I like that.
you came and talked to me and you're like, hey, could you like cease and desist with this?
Yeah, and you're like, what? No, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I wonder if the two of you would have met at any like fancy upper social class parties.
Ooh.
I like the idea of me constantly pestering your company for funding.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I do you guys certain favors here and there every once in a while because you provide me with a stipend for the clinic that I run.
I like that. I like that a lot. Sweet. Yeah, I think maybe that's Fiza's thing is like she's technically titled as like the director for some like bullshit international business stuff, but she runs like their X-wing. I'm just like, how do we make money off of this?
Yeah.
You're an X figured out.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. All right, so how do we frame these in the relationships? We just write down.
Frame it however makes sense to you.
Are we assigning values to it, like based on what you have?
They all have. Okay. In each of the sections, there's a list of die types,
Yeah.
and you have one of each.
Okay.
So if you have a really strong relationship with somebody, and that's emotionally strong,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a tight bond. It's just you feel very strongly about this thing. That's your D10. If there's one that's more casual, it's a D4.
So I like the idea of putting yours at my D8 and yours at my D4 and then leaving my 10 blank so I can actually build a solid, because I don't see this guy having a really strong, hard relationship with anybody as of
That's
yet.
fine.
And
Well-
our relationships are basically professional at this
Well,
point.
I was thinking, because we can do 3 if we want,
You
right?
can do 3.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you have a 10 towards me that's negative.
Oh,
Because I feel like I would have had protests against your work. I feel like on your campus, I would have activated
how's this?
student body.
I
to,
was
like,
actually doing the stuff that I was doing as part of a university-funded thing.
Yeah.
But your protest got me kicked out.
Yes.
And I'm running this scraping by with this independent clinic because you got
because
me.
of me.
Works.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Sweet. I'm definitely giving you a D10. I'm just
Okay.
You're like, oh my God, Kimmy, everybody hates you. What's up?
Everybody hates me. But I love Simon, so that's okay. I don't know if he knows that, but
Oh, just
Yeah,
get
fair
drunk,
enough.
3 a.m., just call
Yeah,
your ex,
yeah.
tell him you love him, and then
Yeah.
turn off your phone.
Well, yeah. I was also going to give a 10 as well because
actually, I'm probably incredibly aware of how you feel about me, which is probably not a lot of anything.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh.
I don't know if it would be either.
Because I probably wouldn't let myself act on that while I still thought you were under the heel of the man. So it'd be no matter what you felt, either way, and then so you get to pick. I feel like it wouldn't. I wouldn't go there until I was
we'll see.
he's liberated.
We'll see.
We'll see.
No, I'm going to leave my 10 open as well because
What's
I'm
your
going
character's name?
My character is Edison.
I'm gonna call you Cornwall.
There you go.
I love it.
And I put my relationship with you as, she ruined my tenure.
Yeah.
nice. For yours, he thinks I'm an ATM.
Nice. Excellent.
Excellent.
I would say Simon still cares a lot, but it's not to that high level anymore. And it's I really want you to come around and
Personal,
stop trying to.
personal affections come after duty.
Yeah.
Come after your obligation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come after your responsibilities as
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to do that next. The values. I haven't done that yet.
My D8 is open.
And like I said, you can leave something open here, and we can fill it in as we go. It doesn't bother me a bit.
My relationship with you helps out the bobbies.
Yeah. I know for sure duty is 10, and I think justice is 8 because that's also going to be a very strong thing, and it's kind of okay, is the law always justice?
I think those are going to be mine, but flipped. Justice is number 1 and duty is number 2. But my duty is to
I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll take that D10 in power, please.
Yes.
Now, I put an 8 in power because I thought that was more towards my curiosity.
Oh, interesting.
Well, we can frame that however you like in the moment. So what I would like everyone to do right now, if you would please, is on the count of 3, everyone point at everyone that you have a relationship with.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I have a relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And basically, we don't have a relationship.
that's
at
fine.
at the
Yeah,
beginning.
I like that idea.
And then your relationship quid pro quo.
Yeah, that feels good.
Excellent. That's spectacular. I love it. Okay, so what? I'm very, very curious. I'm very curious. What does Faiza look like?
I gotta be tall again, so she's super tall.
There's nothing in the middle for you. You're
Nope.
either
or a halfling.
Amazon or halfling.
No, the halfling
or
was
the
the
halfling
one
is
time.
5'8".
Yeah.
That is her.
No, that's why I
vision.
struggled in that one game where I was like, I'm gonna be a halfling. And it was like 10 minutes on camera being like, I don't know how to be short.
that.
This is very upsetting. So no. She's 6 feet tall, has like dark copper skin and super long, like jet black hair. And like very, like, she has like weirdly pale eyes.
Sweet.
Yep. And is slender and always wears like very nice like business attire. Probably only wears black because it's the chicest looking and she wants to look professional at all times.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah. I picture her as being very fashionable.
Totally.
Yes.
But not like weird fashionable.
Mm-hmm.
But like very, yeah.
Like upper echelon business fashion.
Yeah, like wears heels all the time and is fine with it. I don't understand.
I don't know.
That's the wish fulfillment in
Yeah.
this game of like,
100%.
how do you wear heels for more than like 11 minutes?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why it's a good thing I was born male, not female, because I could not manage that.
It's a thing.
Sure. I'm sure. Cool. Mike, what does Simon look like?
I'd say probably like that like British, very thin, like lanky kind of thing. Like never really like, you know, maybe there wasn't always like the best food to have
Right.
around, and maybe like and like because these powers manifested, he never really had any reason to go out and try and work out because he could just electric fist, punch, you're tased, have a nice day. So like in terms of like working as an officer, there was never any reason to build up physical strength, so it was kind of just like a tall, lanky, like ginger.
He's wiry.
Oh, okay.
Joey
You look
just
Irish
went, what?
enough. Yeah.
What? He doesn't even know why.
Yeah, right. Somewhere Joey knew. It was like,
Somewhere Joey knew.
My ears are burning.
sweet.
What does Edison look like?
Now, I see him as sort of like having been sort of a child prodigy type of guy.
Okay.
I actually pictured him as kind of like a Matt Smith looking type of dude, kind of slender, young, baby-faced kind of. He's clean-shaven. He's got strawberry blonde, bushy hair. He wears, you know, the tweed jacket and the bow tie all the time. A very sort of like professory, well put together sort of image, but in a very sort of young and very awkward body. His head is obviously somewhat a little bit larger than it should be for his body type.
So in the movie, he's played by some mingling of Matt Smith and Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, there
Exactly.
we go. Thank you.
Exactly.
I was like, if he doesn't
Exactly.
say it, I will.
But yeah, so he is prone to being distracted all the time. As
Okay.
in, when you're having a conversation with him, he's thinking about something else and goes, yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah.
So a very preoccupied, sort of like fiddly little guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what does Colleen look like?
Well, I'm thinking of like one of my favorite Irish songs, and it says, "And I ask you, friend, what's a fella to do? 'Cause her hair was black and her eyes were blue." So I feel like that, like I love that. So like
Nice.
black hair, it's probably cut like short, kind of like a bob right now.
Okay.
And she's got like bright blue eyes, like pale.
Very fair skin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very fair skinned. And she's probably like very petite. Like I don't know if she's short necessarily. She's probably like, well, for you she's short. She's probably like 5'6", 5'7".
That's incomprehensibly
I know.
tiny to me.
It's shorter than I am, but
I'm
like
sorry,
also like,
Jonathan.
but also very like petite. Like, but she probably wears like a lot of like denim. I'm like picturing like rock star, kind of like chic, but not like she doesn't have very much money at all. She's from like super working class. So it's like denim everything.
Got a knack for the secondhand stores.
Yeah, 100%. Somehow it looks like pretty cool,
Well,
but you
pulls
know
something-
she's paid
pulls it
like
together.
yeah, she paid like £8 for her whole outfit. Though.
English
Nice.
beat T-shirt. And
Exactly,
Oh,
100%.
super cute.
Yeah.
I
I like
was
it.
Fred and George Weasley. That's what I was thinking.
Nice.
Got it. Love it. Love it.
no.
Awesome.
So good.
Excellent. Okay.
so can I put my clinic as an asset?
Yep.
Oh, there are assets.
So, and everybody has a thing. Can be anything. Could be a car. Could be a clinic. Could be. You know, you mentioned something about having clothes with metal woven through them.
Yeah.
You know, it is an asset. It is a thing that you have, that you own. It's a physical thing that you can lean on in some way, and it becomes a thing if you can weave that thing into the narrative of what's going on. You can use that dice, and you have one thing, and it's a D10 asset.
I like it. Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that for just a minute? Talk
Yeah,
amongst
like,
yourselves.
oh, man.
I'm going to step around the corner for just 1 second.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Nope, you.
I feel like I need a way to get around the city, other than like the subway. Like, and that's like pretty rare. So maybe like a motorcycle. Yeah, that's totally thinking motorcycle. Actually,
actually, I'm thinking of Vespa.
yeah, a Vespa. Oh man.
Isn't it a moped if it's British?
It's totally mod. It's a moped. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Motorcycles are cooler though.
So much cooler.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what would be good for an asset. Just thinking like something the non-physical would be like obviously like I work for the police
But
department.
I
yeah.
think that a badge or
Oh.
some kind of
Oh yeah.
form of being able to identify yourself as an authority figure would be a good asset for you.
Doesn't that just like that feels like a thing that just comes with the background? I don't know if that feels
Yeah.
like extra
Well, if he's
special.
actually not an actual cop but a consultant, that would be something that isn't actually extant in his profession. So
No,
that-
I think this character is definitely like a cop.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
definitely part of the police force. Maybe like honestly, I was thinking of it as like a way of like, oh hey, we're integrating the X's into the police force. We want them to work with. We want to have some of them working with us, and that's kind
How
of.
about a police car that is insulated from electricity for you to use?
Ooh.
I don't know how.
Because you've ruined so many cars.
I feel like you should have a cool weapon.
Cool weapon would be cool.
Well, that's kind of where I was going. Was like maybe I was given something that I'm able to like imbue
Yeah.
with my power to be either throw or use as like some kind of projectile, since I can't actually blast.
I like that.
Maybe some kind of modified
Well,
taser that you power
you are
yourself.
You're a peace officer. Have you been charged with the duty of apprehending criminal X's?
Yeah. That is going to be a big part of my job. Is hey, we have a 1022 at this corner shop, and reports are like this guy is lighting fires with his mind.
How about How about a net that you can imbue with electricity?
Ooh, I dig it.
Nice.
Yes, a wire mesh net that it just folds up in my pocket. I can pull it out, throw, or I don't know how like net tosses work.
I need a net
Well,
launcher.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will figure it out. So what did you end up with?
I haven't come up with. I was thinking motorcycle, but that also seems like I don't know, sort of mundane and boring. I'm also thinking like maybe a police scanner because I feel like that's something she totally used.
Yeah.
But then I also can like make people tell me things, so I don't know if that's like. I don't know.
This is an asset of your choosing.
Yeah.
You can also think about this for a while.
Yeah, I think I might need to think about it a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, I thought of another power. don't know if it's close to electric body, but I was thinking like a cauterizing power.
Ooh.
Sweet.
If like someone stabs me, it's like zap it.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna be okay for now.
Nice.
You have a bunch
Okay.
of really sexy scars all over.
Sure.
I think that's a
Okay, cool.
It's my
Um,
headcanon now.
I think that fits under electric body, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would allow it under electric body. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
I would totally allow you to do that.
Okay.
Now, do you have like absolute control of your powers?
Well, it's pretty much only contained to myself. So, unless I'm in puddles of water.
So you don't like lose control when you're like really excited or like angry. You don't like Thor up.
Maybe.
Okay.
You see what happens.
Maybe you can have some powers that sort of revolve around magnetism too, because you're capable of making ferrous things magnetic as well, if you can manipulate the electricity
Oh, is
correctly.
that is you can do that with
I feel
electricity,
that's-
You
can't
can
you?
do that with
Yeah.
electricity.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I mean, we do
Trust
have
me, I'm an
something that's
electrician.
very close. I was definitely like magnet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like that's really close to her power, so you'd have to be careful to. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like a
maybe that's how you guys met.
that would
Maybe
be
you
like
didn't
a
meet that way.
weaker portion. Of
Yeah, and it has to be
Yeah.
a specific. It has to be a ferrous metal specifically, and and he's not really manipulating the metal; he's just making it
It's all good.
magnetic.
But that again, that kind of falls to me. That also falls under the electric body portion. It's like something I'm using because it's like, oh, we need to wipe this electrical device. Bzz.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ta-da!
Right, but that's not
nice.
creating magnetism.
Yeah.
I have no problem with you having a magnetism power if you want.
Do it.
Okay.
and also, man, if you really think about it, you can touch a telecom pole and maybe manipulate and maybe make a phone call just by touching it. There's a lot of cool
Yeah.
things that you can do
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
I would see,
manipulating
like,
electrons.
Control electronics or something like,
Yeah.
or communicating with electronics. would
Electronic
be-
control.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
electronic control.
That seems more
fine.
like matching than magnetism to me.
I just see
Yeah.
you sitting at your desk typing a report like this, and the computer.
That's incredibly cool.
Yeah, I think that works better as that's a good secondary
Mhm.
portion.
I like it.
Okay.
It's like technomancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels fun as fuck.
Yeah, technomancy would definitely be one of the preferred powers I do if I were personally to ever become a superhero.
Because like part of what I envisioned with the character is like not necessarily also kind of a used for infiltration purposes as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I can shut down a security system. I can, like
Touch a computer, get all the information off of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Or could delete all the information on it.
Yeah.
Or,
Stuff like that.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
Super cool.
Okay. Cool.
I like
I feel like I've rounded out my powers a little bit more now.
Nice.
Cool. I like it. Excellent. So, need to figure out what we're going to do with the rest of everyone's values, so that those are all filled out. And I have thought in one way. Come back to me. Maybe.
Yeah, but justice is a 4. He says there is no fucking justice.
Yeah, I have justice and love at 4.
Same here.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
on.
What weird fucking
so-
garbage
we're
is
so-
that?
Yeah.
Like,
Garbage human beings.
that's poor people stuff. Ugh, gross. No, thank you.
No. Those are the baser emotions. We
Yeah.
don't deal with it. Those things make you lose control. And who the hell wants that?
Not I. I do want to figure out something magnetism, but maybe that comes up later.
Maybe you
Yeah.
learn that later.
Yeah. Or something with like arresting.
That's cool.
It'll pop up later. And she plays with magnets more. Maybe after she hangs out with Simon, she's like, oh, hold on.
Okay. So, plot points. What are you going to do with plot points?
Assets. Did anyone else come up
Oh,
with
yeah.
assets?
Mine is technical fabric.
Okay.
So my clothes have like small amounts of like titanium mesh running through them.
I have my clinic,
Right.
which I suppose that we could use it as an ad hoc base of operations at the beginning of the game too. So
I don't think I want to go there.
It's not my favorite.
Not my favorite thing.
Definitely want to take meetings at my place, not yours.
I'll stand outside.
Come on,
but
it's just a
fine.
quick scan. Just come on.
Super nice.
You also have like a bunch of money. You also-
Yeah.
yeah, a
So
giant bank
much
account.
money.
Nice.
I miss money.
Yeah. Nice. I think, yeah, I'm like the opposite.
That's why we're gonna be such good friends.
100%.
If you could just stop though.
You're the
You took my
you're the
hand off the
focus of a
side.
lot of drama in this group. It's
I
gonna be
know. I
awesome.
love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So, plot points are the currency of the game.
Okay.
And you can spend plot points to affect the plot in a number of different ways. You can include more dice. So let's say you put together your dice pool and you have 5 dice in your dice pool. Ordinarily, you would roll those 5 dice and take the best 2 and add them together. You can spend a plot point to add a 3rd dice and increase your number. You can spend a plot point to activate a distinction.
Aren't
You
distinctions bad though?
Yes, but you can activate it to happen in your favor, too.
Okay, cool.
You spend a plot point to do that.
Sweet.
You were super quiet all of a sudden.
That's because
Oh,
I forgot
you
to-
can, oh no! Sorry, good. Yeah, I can hear you. But I was just like, he's so quiet. I've never had that problem with Jib before.
Yeah, Jib, quiet.
What?
What?
Okay.
That never happened.
There you go. Okay.
You can create a new asset.
Okay.
You
Ooh.
can say, I want to have this, I want to have a drone that I can pilot. You spend a plot point, you get a D6 drone. Ta-da.
Nice.
You will get, in the course of play, what are called hero dice. You get hero dice if you get a result that's 5 over the difficulty that I set. However I arrive at it, whether I set a static difficulty number or whether we have
Opposed roll.
an opposed roll. If you get 5 over me, you get a hero die.
Got it.
And then you can spend a plot point to activate a hero die and put it in your pool.
Okay.
Be aware that additional dice can be very good. They can also create problems.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in just a second.
The value of the dice is dependent on what when you get a hero die, or is it a fixed type of die?
It is the highest die that I rolled.
Gotcha.
Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the highest die that I rolled.
Nice.
But what if it's a static
It's a
difficulty?
D8 thing.
Gotcha.
You can also spend a plot point if there was something going on. If you have taken a complication that would take you out of a fight, you can spend a plot point and say, "Nope,
Got it. Okay. Cool.
I'm not out of this fight."
Nice.
Okay. There will be at the beginning of every session, you'll each get 1 plot point, and there will be a pool of them in the middle of the table that we'll draw from as the game goes on. You'll get plot points for activating your own distinctions against yourself, saying, "This is a problem, and it's causing me a problem right now."
Right.
You get a plot point for downgrading a die.
Okay.
If you have a D10 in something, and you say, no, on this roll, I'm going to roll a D6 for that instead. Or, for every 2 die types you step something down, you get a plot point.
Okay.
So if you have a D10 in something, you say, no, I'm going to roll a D6. You get a plot point for that. And if I forget, just tell me, because I probably will. And so that's how plot points work.
Do we start with any starting plot points at the beginning of the session?
You start with 1.
Nice.
At the beginning of every session, you start with 1. So the way I mentioned that having more dice is usually a good thing because you get more options to. You also get more opportunities to roll a 1. And when you roll a 1,
Great things happen always.
great things happen always because one of 2 things will probably happen. I will either give you a complication going along with what's going on, and it will either be a scene complication that's active for just this scene, or it'll be a more persistent complication that is something specific to your character.
Got it.
Or I may buy it from you and add that to what's called the Doom pool.
Okay.
And
Sounds very good.
Amazing.
That sounds
Lovely
tasty.
name.
And the way the Doom pool works is when I'm building my pool of dice, I can take dice at will from the Doom pool.
Oh, good.
Nice. That's fun. That seems great.
Okay? I will never take more than 1 die from the Doom pool at one time.
Okay.
I feel like you could and should
I could.
sometimes.
I could,
He will
but I
eventually
probably
when he
won't.
gets tired of us.
Probably. I feel like that should stay a probably.
Yeah.
Because there might be an amazing moment where it would be great to have that.
Sweet.
To have those things happen. And again, if you activate a hero die, or on any die, if you roll whatever die you rolled a 1 on, that's the kind of die that I get added to the Doom pool.
Sweet.
So that's one reason why you might want to downgrade a die. You also get a plot point when that happens.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about these because this is all new for everybody, and we'll figure it out as we go. The chat will tell us when we do everything wrong.
I totally had a thought.
Oh.
I like thoughts. Thoughts are fun.
Okay. So, what if, your power, you have it under control now. But maybe when it first manifests, the reason, we got to know each other is because you would lose control, when you got emotional. And since I'm able to sense emotions, I was able to sense, when you were maybe going to lose control. So I was able to help you, tap into that and get control of your power.
Aw. That just makes it so much more tragic now.
I know. It makes it so good and dramatic. If you don't like it, we don't have to do
that's
it.
good.
Okay.
No, it's very good.
This is so good.
We'll make it complicated with everybody else, too. Don't worry. This is just the easiest thing to make
Yeah,
complicated.
for sure.
Oh yeah, romance is always complicated.
I know. X's with X's, man.
So good.
That's the name of the game right now. X's with X's.
Hashtag X's X's.
I did the last campaign with 2 husbands. I would like to take a little romantic time off.
Yeah. And I took all the romance off last time, so I'll pick up the baton.
Perfect.
Here we go. Pass it off, girl.
Yeah.
So so the complication is something that you'll give us,
I'm picturing the
Yes.
romance baton. It doesn't look
When
pretty.
things come up, I will tell you if you take a complication.
It
Usually
does.
it's going to be
Okay.
something like an injury or a wound or something, but it could be
Yep.
it could be something more game related.
Okay.
That's not just not just an injury.
We're fine. We're
What's
talking
going on
about
over here?
vibrators. It's fine. Don't worry.
I knew what you were talking about.
I love starting antagonistic with you because I'm like, I love you so much. We will fix this so quickly.
I'm hip to the room, man.
I'm tracking. Alrighty. Is there anything else we need to talk about characters?
What do people do for their attributes? Did we talk about that one? The mental, physical?
Oh, yeah, I barely understand
I
that.
thought we had. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I don't have complications yet.
I think
You won't-
complications are
you won't have
words or things
complications.
that happen
While
in
you
your
were
game.
discussing vibrators,
That's
we were
what your
talking
question.
about-
Oh, sorry.
We were discussing
I
it.
was
We were
super
loosely
distracted and
referencing it.
focused.
That's a complication in and of itself.
Sweet.
But I went, of course, since my guy's a professor and all, I went,
Yeah.
of course, mental as my top D10 ability, social as my secondary at a D8, and physical, since I'm sort of this weedy little guy, as a 4, I'm really not like a mainline.
I like it.
Mine 10 is social. My mental is 8, and then my physical is 4.
Okay.
My physical is 10. My mental is 8, and my social is 4.
Okay.
Also same as that?
Nice.
You work off straight on intimidation, don't you?
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
Perfect.
Because the job is apprehending, and that's gonna be some physical.
So
abilities.
the way this works is you, like I said, you'll tell me what you want to do, and how you're approaching doing it. Don't worry about the sheet. We'll figure that out, and then you'll pick the dice based on how you've described what you're doing, and what you're doing, and you'll figure out what the dice are, and I'll figure out what the difficulty is. Either I'll roll against you, or I'll give you a static number. And if I'm rolling against you, I will always roll first, so you know what you're trying to get to.
Okay.
Can I give myself one more distinction?
You bet.
It's a silly one because all of my things start with 2 something, so it's too many variables, too much to lose. I want to do too many languages because she grew up speaking a bunch of languages. So now, if there's anyone with a heavy accent, she's like, I don't know what they're saying. And then when she gets frustrated, she does not speak in English anymore.
Okay, I like it.
It's like a dumb thing that will come up every now.
No, I like it. I like it a lot.
D4.
Because no one ever gets frustrated trying to communicate with other people. When would that happen? Every day at work.
So wait, for reals, can we repeat the complications conversation?
Complications are things that will come up during the course of play.
Okay, so we'll fill that in.
It might be an injury. It might be, something like. Here's an example of a complication. Okay, things are going on. There's somebody sets off a bomb, and the bomb doesn't hurt you, but you were there, and
the emotional. Just
well, actually, I was thinking that because she's from Ireland.
Oh well, yeah.
So obviously she's the bomber.
Oh, 100%. But also just the mental blowback of the stress and pain and emotion in that situation would be hard to
And if you
with.
fill up all three of those complication boxes and then would take another complication as a result, you were taken out of the scene.
Got it. Okay.
Let me restate that. You were taken out of the scene.
Okay.
You're not out of the game. You're not dead. The only way for you to get dead in this game is if you choose to.
Okay.
That's not what this game is about.
Okay. Cool.
Now, in other Cortex games, you could totally get dead. You could totally get a case of dead. Not in this one, because this is a comic book superhero game.
Nice.
Even if you do die, you should just still come back in some way, shape, or form because they rebooted the issue or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
Death is not a thing in superhero comics.
I feel like a distinction for me would be good, like something to prove.
I like it.
Like I feel
Chip
like
on her shoulders.
Yeah,
I like that one.
chip on your shoulder. Yeah.
It's kind of it's funny because there's so many like opposite sides of the same coin going on here.
You guys really kind of are.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Everyone knows opposites attract.
Absolutely. Yeah. But are we really opposite underneath it all? I feel like you're just like
No,
me.
but one of the things that I love about this character is that he is so incredibly establishment, but I so see him sort of like drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And
my Kool-Aid.
turning into total rebel.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I've got good Kool-Aid.
I bet that was very fiery when it was going on too.
Probably.
Yeah.
I bet it's still fiery.
It's like I've never had my pubes stand up on end, but
It's a new experience.
That reminds me.
oh Jesus!
Nope, don't go there. How you start a story.
Yeah, no. Something we needed to talk about.
No.
No.
Yeah. X cards, lines, and veils.
Oh, okay. All right, that's allowed, yes.
Okay. If anything comes up in the course of gameplay that is unsettling to you as a player and you want it to not be part of our game, just give me the high sign. Just stop. We stop. And we will fade to black on that scene right away.
Okay.
Okay? That is the X card. We don't have a physical X card, but just give me a high sign of, some way, whatever. I'm not going to ask if we want to talk about it later. We can, but we will just fade to black on that scene and go on our way.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. If there is something in that you absolutely, positively do not want to be part of our game, okay, that is a line, and that is a line we will not cross. Tell me what it is. You tell me at any point in time. Tell me now. Tell me, sometime, between now and the next time we play, whatever. In the middle of the game, if something comes up, say, that's a line. We can't cross that for me. Okay? I will tell you right now, one of them for me is anything to do with kids. Won't happen in our game.
Me too.
Will. I won't say that I would.
Credential that I could lose, so please no.
I won't say that I would not narratively put a child in danger,
Right.
but I'm not going to have particularly something sexual happen to a child. Not patently not
Never.
going to happen.
No.
Yeah,
that's
same
next time.
here.
Just flatly not going to happen.
I'm a big fan of that plan, and I'm willing to play along wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
A veil for me is anything to do with rape. There might be something involving rape happen in a game. Probably won't happen in this game, but there is something like that could happen in a game. It won't happen on screen.
Cool.
We would have the ramifications thereof.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's a line, or those are lines and veils.
Okay.
Okay, if at any point anything that happens in the game makes someone uncomfortable, we will stop what we're doing.
Cool.
And we will
great.
change it, no matter what.
Good.
Absolutely.
Like it.
Okay.
Love it.
We are friends and professional. We can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Able to do.
And the gaming table is a a happy, fun,
This is supposed to be entertainment,
inclusive
right?
place.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
This is entertainment. Okay. Excellent. All right, we have 55 minutes to go, and we've finished our world building and our character creation.
Nice.
So
Because we are awesome.
yes.
Nailed it.
We can also, I mean, for character creation sessions, they can be shorter too.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a thing planned.
No, what I was going to say was I was going to ask you: do you want to just like jump in, or do you want to like call it early tonight and go away and we can think about things and talk about things some more offline?
I feel like I want to like kind of
internalize
like get to
things?
know her in my
Okay.
head a little. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to know how the dice, like a little bit more. Like you were talking about the dice mechanic a little bit, but like,
Sure.
I don't know. I kind of want to go crunch like the percentages and like, what is my percentage chance of success for certain things?
Okay. So,
You ever played Savage World? It's a lot like Savage World.
Yeah,
all right. So,
so many dice.
Yeah.
let's say,
Uses
for
all of them.
example, that you are we'll use something that's germane to Colleen.
Okay.
Okay. You are in a room of anti-X protesters. Okay. And they are being very threatening. Okay. What are you going to do about that? Because there's this guy right up in your face right now. He's, and he's got guys all behind him, and you're alone. And this is looking like a threatening situation.
Right.
Okay. What are you going to do?
I'm going to use my emotion bomb, which is my D10 to make them all. I'm going to say it, but it's going to be funny. But I'm not going. I don't want it to be like it's not meant to be like comedic because I don't think that's the vibe we're going for this game. But I wouldn't want to make them afraid of me because I feel like that would make it worse. So I'd want to make them all like super like hungry and uncomfortable and just like claustrophobic.
Nice.
Okay. Excellent. So you're trying to use your emotion bomb to manipulate their feelings about being in this room.
Right.
Okay. You're acting on your own.
Okay.
Okay. So what is your solo?
4.
Okay. So you take a D4, and you're using your emotion bomb, which is
D10.
Your D10. D10.
Okay.
What value applies to this? Do you think? I mean, why are you taking this stance? Why are you not?
Justice, because it is not just that they
What
want
is your justice?
10. Because they want inequality, they want to hold my people down.
Right. Hold on. We're not done yet.
Okay.
So
We're good.
they are working in a team,
Oh.
and they have a D6 team,
Okay.
and they are, from a situational standpoint, they are being physical because they're going to try to beat you up.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, and that's what they have
Okay.
to work with.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a 5.
Okay. 8.
You have an 8 and a 3. You have an
Yeah.
11.
Okay.
So this
And
is
12.
well, you take 2 of them.
Yeah,
you
okay.
take,
Yeah,
you take
you
the
take
two
the
highest.
best.
Best
Got
2
it.
dice,
Okay.
and you add them together.
I'm glad we're
Sure,
going over this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Eleven.
not only do you succeed, but you also succeed, and you get a hero die, which is an 8. So you get to add a D8 that you can just set off to the side, and you can use it sometime later.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay,
Perfect. Okay.
Question though, Jay.
and they're going to then act on that, and they're going to be start to get really squeegee and uncomfortable, and be less,
Cool.
less confident in what they're doing, and probably back off
Okay.
from that. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, Jim.
Was an attribute added to that pool though?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
Should have been
yeah.
mental life.
Should have
Or
been a
social or
Should have
mental?
been a
Got
mental
it.
in there
Okay.
too. Should have been a mental die in there too. Sorry. Yes.
Perfect.
There
Okay,
absolutely
great,
should have
great,
been.
But I get it. So basically, I roll them all and I pick the ones I like.
Right.
The 2.
You
I
pick
like. Okay.
the 2 that you like.
Cool. Perfect.
Right.
So, like in that situation, because you're using like all of your most powerful dice, and you know they rolled a 5, she could step one of them.
You can
down.
step a die
them
down.
down.
You
Yeah.
can step a die down. You get a plot point for that.
Yeah.
And plot points, for those of you who played Savage Worlds, are a lot like bennies in that it works best when they're flying.
Right.
So you guys, the more you spend, the more you get, the more the more things. I don't get them. I have other tools to work with. Namely,
got your Doom pool.
namely the Doom pool. And I have special dice for the Doom pool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's Storm.
Yes.
And
Too bad this isn't a DC plays game.
The
Dr.
Doom
Doom
pool-
would be awesome.
Dr. Doom is Marvel.
they're all
Sorry, it
red.
is Marvel. You're
The
right.
Doom pool's all
dare
red.
you, sir?
We're all like Marvel.
DC forever. Oh,
Yeah. Fantastic Four foil.
we were
Sorry.
friends. We were friends until just then.
I like both.
I know, I like both. That's
I
fine.
situationally like both because there are characters from both that I really adore and characters from both that I just cannot stand. Like,
I cosplay both.
sorry folks if this ruins your view of me. I don't like Superman. Sorry. I don't like
No
the
one
character.
likes Superman.
I do not.
I maintain my statement.
Superman's fine.
Although I will say that there are things about the way that they've depicted Superman in the more recent movies that I really like because they've actually established a connection with humanity,
Look
which
at
was something
that.
I always found missing.
Nope.
I didn't say they were great movies. I said I liked this thing about
This
them.
is going south bad.
Yeah, we should
Amazing.
end it. I love you in friendship. It's okay. Our friendship has gone through more than this. We will get past it. It'll be fine. I hate you, Zack Snyder. Sorry.
Oh,
No one
Like I
hates
said,
Superman
I'm not
more
saying
than
I
Zack
liked.
Snyder does.
I'm not saying I liked the movies.
No, I know.
No one would say that.
We're going off on top. Come back, sir. Go back. All right. Excellent. I really like actually this dice mechanic. It's super interesting.
It feels fun to build your pool, and you're like, and I'm wearing a jacket.
No, one of the great things is that I find that even building your pool is a creative act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so just about everything about this is sort of making things up
Yeah.
and telling a story. Even
It's-
the dice mechanic.
It is a very straightforward, simple game that gives you a lot of open narrative creativity with how you do things. And the more creative you are with how you narratively approach the thing you're doing, the more you get to work with.
Yeah.
And the PDF that you sent with the base rules has so many alternate and rules that you
it's-
can use to do any type of genre. I'm going, wow, you can do anything. with
It's
this
not
system.
even really a game. It's
Not really.
more of a tool set for building a game.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
toolkit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm really looking forward to getting the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, just as if you had an example of how our relationships might play into a dice roll, like as if.
Okay, I'll use you two as an example. So,
Why? It's not like they
so-
have the most well-developed relationship after character creation.
so
Super
you
weird.
I just want to like say too, like I sat down and I hadn't thought about it at all, and then I was like, wait, he's a cop. That's such a great like
Yup.
conflict.
It's
I
a
love it.
dynamic. It's a good,
Yeah.
it's a great
it's great.
dynamic. Situationally, you are in a fight with some street toughs, and they've
Yeah.
got you outnumbered, right? And it's not looking good for you, right? And Colleen comes up on this and sees this, and because of the underlying love you have for Simon, bam, and you can add that die to your pool.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Cool.
Okay,
Makes sense.
Interesting.
that's how you would do that.
Okay.
So if I wanted to use my quid pro quo relationship with her, it's like she did something like she basically saved me from
She
getting
did something
shot.
for me, so I'm going to do something for her.
And when I do that something for her, I apply that die
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. Like I said, it's entirely a question of weaving these things into the thing that you're doing.
It's one of my favorite kind of games. Bullshit games are my favorite games. It's like I'm going to make up some bullshit. Does it work? Roll dice.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a very simple, straightforward game that gives us a lot of open narrative
Right.
creativity that we can work with. So that's it for tonight. And come back in 2 weeks, and we will hit
Yeah.
the streets of London and see what happens.
London's
Oh,
calling.
London town.
Oh,
right?
London town.
Absolutely. We will all practice our
I'll be
accents.
back.
Shall we go to the theatre?
Yeah, so check out happyjacks.org/schedule for our fabulous streaming schedule. This and everything else is going to be released as a podcast. You can find that at happyjacks.org or wherever you get your podcasts. And I think that's everything. One Shot Saturday is this Saturday. We're actually going to have one game this Saturday. We're going to have a extra long L5R game run by Tappy.
That's awesome.
I can't
I'm a
wait
little
for that.
scared. I'm a little scared
You
because he
should be.
knows like everything about that game. It's going to be nutso.
Nice.
And we're actually starting that at 11:30.
Tappy and I played L5R first edition
For
pretty
longer than
much
I've been alive.
every single night for
Amazing.
about a year and a half. almost.
Yeah.
It says so much.
It's gonna
It's
be so
too much.
It's a lot. It's a
I
lot.
played every single clan of the game at
Wow.
least twice.
Yeah, I've played L5R. I've played 3 L5R campaigns, and I will be the least proficient person in L5R knowledge there. So
That's amazing.
super fun, but they need a producer, so I have to be there.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we are having L5R. I think I should probably look at the schedule.
It's L5R weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Woo!
Nice.
At least I know that character though, so it'll be fun.
Sweet.
Tabby's like,
Nice.
I made a character for you. It'll be amazing. I was like, oh god. Okay, great, no problem. Yes, and he's very excited. All right, thank you guys, and yeah, anyone else have things to announce?
Yeah.
Thanks. No. Okay, peace out. Bye guys.
Bye, guys. See you in 2.
Yes.
2 weeks.